Okay, let's start. Bum 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 dim dum diddy dum dum diddy line 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 diddy diddy line 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 bum 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 dim dum diddy line bum 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 bum. So happy everyone's here. I'm so happy everyone's online. And I'm feeling weirdly happy. Weirdly happy.
Huh? That's kind of happy.
I don't know, I honestly don't know what it is, which will explain tonight's shir. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on. But I know that the opportunities right now to do incredible post-Pesach pre-Shavuot and Sfirat HaOmer work are really, really, really like incredible right now. I've never felt it this strong in my life. But before we get into tonight, I have to share with you one thing that struck me so deep during Pesach, something that happened to me during Pesach that had, it really shook me up. And I knew that I wanted to share with you the second, right after it happened, because I just think it's for all of us, really. And before I start, I want to mention tonight's learning for the Refuah Shleima of Chaim Leib ben Fega. Absolutely Meshuggah's story. We were at a bris this morning of a very one of my wife's best friends that she grew up with, and basically the Zaydi of the baby. We didn't know this, we just found out right now at the end of the bris, he had a heart attack. Wow. So it's like, Hamavdil ben, in Chaim, L'chaim, Baruch Hashem, he's stable, but it's just Meshuggah. So I want tonight to be strong, something that's direct, Refuah to Chaim Leib ben Fega. So, over Pesach, the second part of Pesach, we were up somewhere, we were in the north, in the Golan, above the Kinneret, such a beautiful place. Place I actually went to as a child every year. I'd go to this resort with my father, who would lead the davening and lead the Seder and he'd be very much, working there. And it was a Gan Eden for kids. We looked forward to it all year long. This is like ages 10 to like 16. We were there every year. It was incredible. And what happened is that about right after we got married, the people that run it now are our very close friends from Ranana. And they offered that my wife and I go up every year towards the end of it and go to the same place and do basically what my father would do when I was a kid in the same place. So it's every year. It's like Pesach is so nostalgic because I'm walking around and the first few years I was just probably driving my wife crazy. Oh my God, this is where this happened. This is where that happened. This is where that happened. Taking this when I was a kid, I did this. This is where we played ball. This is where we did bow and arrow. All these different things. But because we've been going every year since we're married to my children, for them it's an amazing thing that their experience of Pesach is on the same grounds that my experience as a child was of Pesach. So now it's like, I don't say, hey, remember when I told you when I was a little kid? It's more like, Tiferet, remember when you were 1 and you could barely walk? It's very, very, very special. It's really, really incredible. So the one thing, though, that kept on happening this trip is this Pesach, was that my younger daughter, my Jinjit, my redhead, Ora, she feels at home already. Look, she's been there, it's her 4th year there, it's Tiferet's 5th or 6th year there. So they feel very much at home. So for us, it's still, it's a pretty big resort. And there's all these different shvilim, all these different paths everywhere. And it happened a few times that our Ora, so I thought I had her, a second, totally ne'elma, totally went lost. And it happened a number of times. But one of the times that it happened, I don't know, it felt like it did feel like slow motion, because it felt like the 15 minutes, it was 10 to 15 minutes, that we couldn't figure out where she was, truly seemed like an eternity. So it was like, a lot was going on, but however, this time, for some really weird reason, I was able to process what was going on as it was going on. Absolutely mishug. I'll try to explain in a second what it is. It's just an incredible thing. Come, Zal, have a seat. Welcome. My heart was beating so fast. Obviously, every negative thought in the world comes into your heart, into your mind. Like, oh my God, what a bad father. And like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. And then for a second it shifted. I was like, I was just picturing her for a second, crying hysterically, saying, where's my Abba? How come you can't find me? Right? That's where it shifted to. And I'm going through this live. And as I shifted towards my daughter, thinking about what's going on in her mind and in her heart, everything shifted. Meaning, in the beginning it really was, oy vey, oh my God, I have to find her. But then the need to find her was more like, how could she bear one more second of not knowing where her father is? So, to kill the moment now, she was fine. She went to everyone saw in town. I'm just gonna say, we found her in the Mischakiya, which is like there's like a children's room to play, playing. She was fine. She went there with Chani Rausman, little our friend Rausman took her. She went with one of the Rausman kids. They just went together. She's only 5, but they went along. But the point was like this. But this was the kicker. Like this is what hit home so badly, is that, if I say that I believe in Hashem, if I say that I really believe in God, I declare it to the world, I declare it to myself, I declare it to my family, I declare it to my kishkas inside. And I'm searching, and I can't find my father. Can you imagine what that causes in Shemayim? When the Ribbono Shel Olam sees that someone is lost, but they just can't find a way out? You see, most of us, when we're lost, what do we do to ourselves? We convince ourselves that it must mean that I have to find a new home. That's what it means. Dirshu Hashem, there's a concept that dafka when you're lost, the part of this whole game of being in this world, not being here, is that you're supposed to be lost. That's the only way man has come to truly seek the Ribono Shel Olam, to desire to seek God. Don't freak out for moments of feeling lost. Process it. Go through it. Feel it. It's actually the greatest gift that Hashem can give you in that moment of, if you never felt lost, you probably never asked for any ramzor, for any street, for any simanim ala derech, for any signs on the road. Remember, Rabbi Shlomo one time and I thought about this a lot during Pesach, because we say in Shalosh Regalim, in Musaf, Melech Rachman Rachem Aleinu. Have mercy on us, merciful Father. But then we say interesting words. Tov u'meitiv, you do good and you do very good for us. Hidaresh lanu. Hidaresh lanu is a weird word. Hidaresh kind of means demand us out to call you.
Is it like demand for us?
Either demand us to come close to you or demand for us. But look how Rabbi Shlomo explained those. And then it says, Shuva Eleinu b'hamon rachamecha. Come back to us with your utmost mercy. So Rabbi Shlomo said he was once walking down the street and he saw a little girl crying her eyes out. And finally a police officer caught her. She was lost. And she said, I'm lost. I don't know where my mother is. I don't know where home. I can't figure out how to get home. And somehow the policeman that caught her was able to chop out her phone number out of her. And they went to a payphone. They called home. And the mother is on the phone with the kid, and she's crying her eyes out. Now I want you to picture this for a second. Either yourself as a child, if this ever happened to you, that you were lost. Not spiritually lost when you're 5. I'm talking like literally. There are those also that are like that too. People could say that they claim they're, a spiritual midlife crisis when they're like 3.5 these days. But you know what I mean? Imagine, think about it as yourself as a child, the first time you remember feeling lost. Or, chas v'shalom, think about it right now, that you're separated from your child and you can't find them. What's worse, your pain? Or imagining what they're going through right now? So, Reb Shlomo said, this girl got on the phone with her mother, and the mother said, darling, where are you? And she said such a powerful statement. She said to her mother, I have no idea where I am, but you better come and get me. And that's really tov u'meiti v'dash. Like that's really what it is, Can anyone say, I'm so lost and I'm right here, please come and chop me up from here? That's not real. Tov u'meiti v'dash lanu, the concept of feeling lost, somehow we have it that we're trained to think that means I'm off a derech, I'm wrong. It's not like that at all. Being lost is an opportunity to seek out and demanding to be found. When that's processed, then I have a new way of walking the streets of the world. So anyway, our children should always bring out the deepest teachings in our lives. They always do anyway, but it should just become much more revealed right in front of our eyes. Now the reason why I said before, I started off saying I'm very excited and very energized and I don't know, I feel this new focus, and you'll see tonight why I can't explain in words what it is, but there's something going on in the world. There's something big going on in the world. It's almost like Pesach Mamish did exactly what Pesach had to do. And Sfirat HaOmer is everyone knows, my favorite time of year. Not just because I get to rest, put the guitar down a little bit, but it's just, there's something so surreal about this tkufa, because basically what it is I have 7 weeks to figure out what on earth happened to my neshama Seder night. That's really what it is. And I'm going to remind us all of a statement, a startling statement, that we've given a number of shurim just on the statement itself. How Rabbi Shlomo once said that freedom without direction is just another form of slavery. It's an unbelievable line. Freedom without direction is just another form of slavery. And we're here for direction. Like this is it. What we're going to be doing right now tonight, and hopefully every night for the next 6 weeks, is that we're going to be going mahamash mahalach, a direction. We're going to be doing some serious, beautiful work which would normally intimidate the living daylights out of us, taking upon ourselves things that we'd never imagined that we could actually firmly say, Ani lokach et atzmi, ani lokach et ze alai, I'm taking it. But something happened over Pesach, which enables each and every one of us to take something that's really hard to deal with and focus on, and shine. It's not a matter of passing with flying colors. It's a matter of living what happened Seder night. You know, most of my friends, whenever they ask me, or I ask them, how was Yom Kippur? Well, after Yom Kippur, so they always say, oh, the year will tell, right? Because no one can say, Yom Kippur was great. What does Yom Kippur being great mean? Meaning your year, and what happens to you during your year will define for you what happened to you on Yom Kippur, where you were at Yom Kippur. But if someone asks you, how was Seder night? You know what you're supposed to be able to answer? She'eino yodea la'anot. Not just she'eino yodea lish, she'eino yodea. I can't even begin to answer that question. Sfirat HaOmer is the time to understand what it means that I can't even answer the question, how was Seder night? Because the gates that opened, whether we realize it or not, whether you tell me you had a good Seder, and this kind of contradicts what we were talking about before, Shir Daniel, whether you get that secluded area in the hotel to have your own private Seder, or you're stuck with 300 people in a huge hall in a hotel in Miami Beach, which I had to go through my first few Pesachs in this world, right? Because my father had to lead the Seder in these communal places. It's regardless of whatever you do, how much you did, how much you didn't. Something happened, something changed. It's lo kashur eleinu. It's nothing to do with us. But now we have the chance to take hadracha. And what's beautiful and fascinating is that Chazal have taught us that what are we supposed to learn during this tkufa of Sfirat HaOmer? Every Shabbos, Pirkei Avot, ethics of our fathers. So what we're going to be doing tonight is tying in Pirkei Avot into our Parsha, into what on earth happened to us Seder night. Seems like a lot, I know. Seems like a lot, but you know what? No one's running to any concerts tonight, so we have time for it to sink in. Before we go into Rabbi Shlomo's text, I want you to take a look at the text that we have here, of a midrash and a little bit of Pirkei Avot. Did it say his name? Your ear, Ben?
I'm trying to find it out.
I know. Hashem Yirachem. For his Milui Neshama as well. Huh? I know. I don't want to get into this right now because it's something. Oh, absolutely. But I want to find out his full name by next year. Okay, did it get to the back? You got it, okay. What we're going to be talking about right now is something that is it would be so beautiful if we could all just have this by the time we stand by Matan Torah, by Har Sinai. And that's like you see on the top, Ayin Tov. To have a good eye. What does having a good eye mean? We'll get into this. Look first at the first source over here. This is in the Midrash on our Parsha. Al asara dvarim negaim ba'im. What's a nega? Sorry, Web Yeshiva students, this page you don't have, but I'll send it out if you ask me in a separate email. You have the other page. Al asara dvarim negaim ba'im. For 10 different reasons, negaim. What's a nega? These afflictions, which we speak about in Parshat Tazria and Matzah. All these painful afflictions, these bodily afflictions on your house, on your clothes, on your skin. It's what the whole Parsha is all about. Now, by the way, I once heard a Gewalt thing about Parshat Tazria and Mitzvah. You think that these negaim were punishments? No. They were the highest revelation of what we're supposed to be doing in this world. You know, most of us live and we're so confused by what are we supposed to try to work on? What is the midah that I'm supposed to take on? What is the thing that I'm supposed to be working on? And because it's not revealed to me, I keep on wandering in circles, crying my eyes out for 3 gilgulim, for 3 incarnations, to figure out what did my neshama come into this world to fix. But imagine that you were doing wrong, but physically it came out somewhere, and you realize based on an actual, literal affliction that showed up on the walls of your house, it was the biggest bracha in the world. Because they at least knew where they were off and what they had to do. And that's why a nega in Chassidus is the same letters as oneg, which means pleasure. Because the greatest pleasure a person can have in this world is when they begin to figure out what it is they're supposed to work on. Look, we're all supposed to work on anava, humility, kas, anger, taivas, lust, sinna, hatred. We're all collectively supposed to work on all these things. But we know for so long already, since the first time we ever started learning, and I'm sure you learned this way before we ever started learning together, that each of us is here to fix a certain specific something. We have to be more careful in certain areas. When the negaim, when the afflictions showed up, as much as it was painful to see, oh my God, look what's happening to me, it was almost like, oh, thank God, I know what I need to work on. And that's why nega is the same letters as oneg. That's the greatest pleasure a person can have in this world, knowing what I'm supposed to be working on in this world. Now, look what the Midrash says. It's for 10 different things that the negaim come to the world. That these afflictions come on a person, which we talk about in this week's Parsha. Al avodah zara, al gilui arayot, ve'al shvichut damim, ve'al chilul Hashem, all these different things, al birkat Hashem, ve'al gozel et harabim, ve'al gozel et she'ino shelo, ve'al gasei haruach, those who are oppressed with their attitude, with their energy, ve'al lashon hara. Obviously the big one we all know is lashon hara was a big one. How do we know lashon hara is directly connected to tzarat, because of Miriam? That's like the clearest one, because what she suffered. But look how it ends off. Ve'al ayin ra. This is a very deep nekuda, which Baruch Hashem, because of the mikvah of the Seder, we could go in and grab. Ve'al ayin ra. What's ayin ra? Hold on. Look in Pirkei Avot now. What it says in the second chapter. Amar lechem. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai told his students, Tzu u're'u ezo yid mi derech tova she'idbak ba'adam. Go out to the world, look around, and see what's a good characteristic trait that a person should cling to and take upon himself. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Ayin Tova. Good eye. Rabbi Yeshua Omer Chaver Tov, a good friend. Rabbi Yossi Omer Shachen Tov, a good neighbor. Rabbi Shimon Omer Haro'eh et Hanolad. I don't want to get into that right now. Rabbi Elazar Omer Lev Tov, a good heart. So basically, Rabbi Eliezer, the first one to answer, says, the first thing that I saw that you need to get into this world, a midah to stick to, is how do I acquire a good eye? Ayin Tov. Right? Ayin Tova. And then when you look at the bottom, the next chapter in Pirkei Avot, Perek Hey, Seif Yud Zayin, Kol mi sheyesh bo shlosha dvarim halalu, whoever has these three things, harei ze mitalmidav shel Avraham. He is from the students of Avraham Avinu. V'chol mi she'ein bo shlosha dvarim halalu, and whoever doesn't have these three following things, harei ze mitalmidav shel Bilam. Then he's one of Bilam's students. Bilam, from the story of Balak and Bilam and the donkey, right? What do Talmidav Shel Avram have? It's a very famous Mishnah. Ayin Tova, a good eye. First thing they mention. Nefesh Shvela, a humble spirit, a humble soul. V'ruach Nemucha, and a low spirit. It doesn't mean low that they're nebach. It means that the opposite of being haughty. Okay? Talmidav Shel Bilam, but who's a student of Bilam? Ayin Ra'ah, a bad eye. Boom, right away. What does he say, by the way? Ne'um hagever. What's the words there? Stuma ayin. Right? It's a very interesting thing. The whole thing about Balak and Bilam is always about the crooked eye. V'nefesh rechava, a large soul, like you're so big, consider yourself so big. V'ruach gvoah, and you're haughty. That's the students of Bilam. So we see so far that one of the reasons that pain and affliction didn't happen just then. Look at your own life. What pain and affliction, not in the form of a nega that's visible, but we're doing avodah ma'asid, we're doing some serious work right now. What kind of pain or affliction has happened to you in your life that you could see in your own life? Chazal teach us already back then, saying, listen, there's a list of a lot of different things, but the last thing that we talked about in the Midrash, that brings pain into someone's heart and in their home and in their family is that they have an ayin ra'ah. They have a bad and evil eye. Not ayin hara. Ayin hara is something else. Ayin hara is a superstition. Ayin ra'ah is the way that you look at the world, at yourself, at the Torah, at God. There's something off with it. It's ra. And in Pirkei Avot we say, Rabbi Eliezer says the first thing a person's got to do and grab on if you want to make it in this world is you have to have an ayin tov. That's what defined the students of Avraham, and that's what differentiated the students of Avraham from the students of Bilam. Now we've already seen, especially in Hanukkah, and it's written in the soul of Hanukkah a number of places, that the downfall of the whole world began with what? The way that Chava looked at the fruit. Vatere ha'isha ki tov. But you know what? God has the ayin tov. Vayar Elokim et haor ki tov. Thank you. Vayar Elohim et haor ki tov. God also looks. There's a way to look at the world. The downfall of the world, the downfall of everything bad in our lives, is not from words. It's from having an ayin ra. It's from having something which either blinds us or forces us to use the eyes in the most negative way, most destructive way in the world. And one of the things which would be so beautiful if we could work on right now towards Har Sinai is to really change the way we use our eyes. Now, I know this sounds like a big thing because I'm basically offering that we change the way we perceive everything, which would uproot jealousy, hatred, which would uproot basically everything in the world. But this is why we came to a shir, we come to learn to fix our neshamas. We don't come to shiurim, at least not here, to go and share good words at a Shabbos table. Although I'm not opposed to that, but that you can go anywhere for that. What we're trying to do now is to really be in Sfirat HaOmer and not just say nice names of Sfiras at night. This is this, you know. I don't want to say it tonight's Sfira, but you understand what I'm saying. We're here to show up at Mount Sinai like polished neshamas that have allowed ourselves to taste what took place to us on Seder night. That's the whole point of Yetzias Mitzrayim. When God shows up to us on Mount Sinai, what's the first thing He tells us? Anochi Hashem Elokecha. He could have said, I am the God who created heaven and earth. He says, I am the God Asher Tzeticha Me'eretz Mitzrayim Beit Avadim. I am the God that took you out of slavery, remember? I'm the God that took you out of there. And now you have this time to walk here and figure out, why did I take you out? Now, and this is amazing, we are free to work on all the things that we usually felt we have to do all these other things first in order to work on them. You know, usually what prevents us from taking on very, very, very important tasks in life is what? Is anava psula, is false humility. That if someone tells you, you know, you could become the greatest tzaddik, so if you're Lubavitch, you have a Torah, because you could say, oh, Halavai could become a Rosh B'Tovlo, you know, because they have their whole, whatever, it's not for now, but they have, you know, the different categories. But anybody else who say, you know, you could become a holy, let me at least, you know, stop cursing every other word, you know. But after Pesach, you tell a guy that uses 4 little words every other word, you tell him, you know that you could mamish walk to Mount Sinai now? By the time you get to Mount Sinai, not one bad word? That's a little bit easier. What about when it really comes, those things we're addicted to? Those things that we swear define us. Usually, it's true, I have to take baby steps. But here, I don't have to take baby steps anymore, because something happened Seder night which enables me to now jump towards all those places that I thought I need to do all this other work beforehand. Literally, like when we watch, and I encourage you all, when you watch like a little video of the Rebbe, for instance, And you see the Rebbe, you see, like, they've blessed them, Chabad, what they've done with multimedia, it's unbelievable. And they finally met their goal of raising, I think it was $1 million in a few days, just a few weeks ago, to really take on a whole, like as much as you think you've seen, they really have everything documented. You watch the tzidkus. It's like one time Rabbi Shlomo said, someone once was davening to God, and this is what he thought the conversation was. Is that God, the person said, oh, I tried so hard to be as holy the Baal Shem Tov, but look at my life. So God, Kivyochel, says, I wanted to make you even greater the Baal Shem Tov. Why'd you put limits on where you think you could reach? So all year long, I can't really say that Torah. Be quiet. Take on, at least start putting on tzitzis in the morning. Start with that, Learn Hilchos Shabbos. Learn what bracha you say on grapes, And now but now it's like something changed to really internalize and have an ayin tov. I just want to put it out there because Rabbeinu Yonah and the Rambam, Sfas Emes, a lot of the Rishonim, a lot of the Chassidish Achronim have explained to us that ayin tov really means that I'm done with jealousy. I always share with you, my friend David Sachs says it the best. He said that jealousy means that you basically believe that God made a mistake by giving so-and-so to that person. That's jealousy in a nutshell. Ayin Tov is looking at every single person, and what they have or don't have is absolutely irrelevant to how you perceive them and how you look at them. How much hair they cover or how much they don't, how many mitzvahs they take upon themselves, how much they don't, has nothing to do with what you feel about them. That's not part of it was never part of your cheshbon. But after Pesach, I'm able to have a chance to walk the streets of the world, not judging and having an ayin tov. Why? What about Pesach enables me to start acting like this very, very holy Yid that I just described? So this is what we're going to be looking at right now. In my opinion, this teaching that we're going to be doing right now, again, this was never learned before, which always excites the living daylights out of me. But this teaching that we're going to be doing right now, I'm not sure we have exactly enough. By the way, I want to just reiterate something. When I said that when you look at someone and what they keep or don't keep doesn't have anything to do with the way you judge them, that still doesn't touch anything about the authenticity and the emes of halacha. Halacha, the Dalet Amos of halacha, it's Kodesh Kodashim. None of us can touch it, no matter what kind of new Yiddishkeites keep on popping up in the air. Halacha, every letter of the halacha is Kodesh Kodashim. But a person's level of observance should, in a utopia world, should mean nothing to how I value them and the way that I look at them. Now, once again, learning Torah from someone who lived this teaching always makes it easier to digest what the person's saying. Learning Torah from someone who really walked the streets of the world with an ayin tov, learning about an ayin tov makes the Torah much easier to digest. And I always found that to be a huge zchut as we learn these teachings. Because sometimes you look at someone, they're giving over the most exalted Torahs in the world. Incredible. But you know that when you last spoke to them, they were talking Lashon Hara the whole time. So they're great scholars, they're incredible teachers. It's hard to take in the Torah they teach. But when you learn Torah from someone who is so close to the words they were saying, it's a bracha, it goes in much smoother. I gotta just shut off the volume here. Or mute this person. Okay. We'll just pay attention to it for now. Rabbi Shlomo says like this. The Ishbitzer says, imagine if we would be in this world 1,000 times, meaning for him it was just pasha to talk like this. That means that you came back 1,000 times, right? That you came back 1,000 Gilgulim, right? Because by the way, like I remember I told you once he was teaching, and he stopped in the middle and he said, we're all in the in-between. We're all in the middle. So everyone asks, like, what do you mean? He's like, well, look, we were born and we're going to die, so we're all in the middle. But then he said, but obviously, none of us are here for the first time. So we're all in the middle anyway. Like for him it was just a given, right? Just like every other teacher you had, right? So the Ishbitzer says, imagine if we'd be in this world 1,000 times, and each time I will serve God day and night. How exalted and high would I reach? Pretty high. But it doesn't compare to where I reach on Seder night. Seder night is something I could have never reached on my own. What God gives me on Pesach is not through any judgment. On Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur I'm judged. Pesach, the beginning of me as a free person, is when God disregards me. That's a word he keeps on using, and we'll have to explain how he uses it. Is when God disregards me and my own level. So remember I told you before, I asked, like when you have someone, you see someone after Yom Kippur, you say, how was Yom Kippur? So it's a whole judgment, was it received or not? Was the tshuva received? Was the davening strong? Was your energy in the right place? So that's more of a judgment world. On Pesach, the light of Pesach, the Kedusha, the ability to be in touch with my innate holiness has absolutely nothing to do with how much I prepared and worked on myself to receive that night. Now this is a teaching we could only say after Pesach, right? Because if we learned this before Pesach, what would happen? In terms of the hachana, in terms of the preparation, don't worry, it's there already, yeah, like there's a whole Ishbitzer Mahalach, which is always like, man never really sinned, because we know that Mashiach will come, he'll look into each and every one of our hearts and see there was never, ever the concept of sin in our neshamas. You can only say that in like an Olam Haba world. You can't say that in Olam Hazeh world, because you can't do anything with that teaching in Olam Hazeh. So same thing with here. We can only learn that as much as you think you cleansed yourself or didn't cleanse yourself before Pesach, regardless, the Ribono Shel Olam gives you something that has nothing to do with how hard you worked on yourselves. And I see all the mamas in the room getting so angry, like, why did I scrape that? Why was I schwitzing? Why did I sleep 2 nights a night the last 2 weeks before Pesach? Amy, you okay? Okay. No. This is a post-Pesach teaching. Okay? We definitely learn this after Pesach. Okay, so look what he says here. Now, why? Why? Why is it like this? How could it be like this? Because of the nature of what actually happened Pesach night, in reality. Look what he says, second paragraph. It says that when God jumped over our houses, Velo yiten hamashchis lavo el bateichem, which means he didn't let the mashchit, the angel of death, come into our house that night. Who was the angel of death? Look what the Ishbitzer says. The Ishbitzer says, it is my own actions. My own angel of death is not necessarily all the mistakes I make, but it's the way in which they cause me to look at myself. This is the angel of death. The Averas, they're bad. How they define my outlook on everything, but specifically on myself, is death. That's the angel of death. That's the mashchit, the Ishbitzer says. So on Pesach night is one night the whole year when what? Velo yiten, it says this mamish in Parshat Bo, Velo yiten hamashchit lavol bateichem. Rabbi Shlomo says the most exalted thing, the Ishbitzer. It's one night a year where your own mental self-persecution has no hold on you. That's the one night a year God says, I'm not going to let you torture yourself again. Atkan. One night a year. Something happens in our neshama, there's one night a year where God says, I'm not letting you torture yourself. I'm jumping over that whole geschäft. I'm jumping over it. Doesn't exist. Let me ask you, second to bottom, second line to the bottom of the second paragraph. What is in my way today? Like, what stands right now in my way from shining? Going home tonight and not having one doubt in the sincerity of my holiness, my commitment to the Ribono Shel Olam, to Am Yisrael, to Eretz Yisrael, to myself, to my dreams. What stands in my way? We've learned this a million times. My yesterday doesn't let me. I'm hanging on to my yesterday, and I hang on with my last strength. I remember many years ago, the first time I sat down with a couple who had some marriage problems. I looked at them and I saw they mamish love each other. But he says, you did this wrong. She says, you did this wrong. Endless. Do you know what the hardest thing was for them? What they couldn't grasp was the from now on. That concept, they just couldn't hold on to the possibility of today. Crazy. A person is ready to give up all their tomorrows for one stupid yesterday. That's one of the highest lines I've ever heard in my life. No? So, when I don't have to fight this war inside, if yesterday doesn't define, has nothing to do with my today, what could I achieve? What stands in my way? Nothing. Nothing. Now, this is what's so nuts, is that whether we like it or not, and I want you all to really take this in right now, if there's anything that's worth taking in right now, and you don't have to focus exactly what it is that you're supposed to take on, but just understand something. We are situated in the calendar right now. We are Mekadesh Yisrael v'Hazmanim. We become sanctified. It's the bracha we say in Yantiv and Musaf. On every Shemona Esrei, on Yantiv. We sanctify and we become sanctified through this manim. We are in between Pesach and Shavuos. We're in this mikvah, this big chol hamoed of possibility and opportunity. Nothing in the world stands in our way right now. Nothing. Nothing. I can't say this easily in the last week of Elul. I'm very much bothered by tshuva, which is the time for that. However, after Pesach, after the Ribono Shel Olam gave me one night where my yesterdays simply do not blind me, because they don't exist. The angel of death does not exist. That self-persecution does not exist. It's one night. I can do anything. I really can do anything. And I hope you don't take these words lightly. It's not like, oh, he's giving a good pep talk. If I believe in Hashem, right? If I'm bothered with sending my children to religious schools and whatever I took upon myself religiously, do you understand what that means? As important as it is to teach your child Aleph Beis, that they should know what Shema Yisrael is, it's 5 billion times more important for you to realize that absolutely nothing stands in your way right now from jumping towards all those things that you usually felt you have no chance of beating and of taking on. Because Seder night took place in your life. Something happened in your life. We went through something. Okay? Look back inside. The Ishbitzer says, what is the Ribono Shel Olam jumping over on Pesach? What is the Pesach? This is so beautiful. Right? What was jumped over? Our houses? He jumped over an Egyptian house. He jumped over a Jewish house. And it's like, if we were living on a block that was every house, was 2 Jewish houses, then an Egyptian house, then what? That's all it was. He was just jumped. God has nothing better to do than go Pesach hopping. Doesn't make any sense. What was the jumping? What was the word itself? Pesach. God jumped over our own levels, completely disregarding the level we were on. That's what God jumped over. Let's say I'm on the 10th level of Kedusha, whatever that means. I worked so hard and this is what I do. So I should get Kedusha size number 10. What the Ribono Shel Olam gave me, sorry about the typo, gave me Seder night is Kedusha on the level of 1 million. The Ribono Shel Olam, and by the way, don't be startled if you're not feeling it. That's very important right now. Very important. Don't be startled and freaked out. What's wrong with me? I didn't feel it. Guess what? You're not meant to feel it. Something happened in the deeper, deeper, deeper chambers of your heart. Most of us were busy trying to figure out, when do I put my kids to shluf? How much do I keep them stay? Like that's, of course you're not going to, it's not what it's about. It's about the avodah of Sfirat HaOmer. It's about, I'll feel it by the way that I let myself live today. That's how you'll feel what happened. That's what you'll, Back to the Future. It's an amazing concept. That's what you'll feel. The Ribono Shel Olam put so much kedusha in my body, in my physical being. By the way, through what? How did God put physical kedusha in my body? Matzah. And we'll get to that in a second. But you see what it is? It's beyond me. It's beyond my own mitzvahs and maasim tovim. It's beyond my deed. It's not in the merit of my deeds. It's much bigger than that. Suddenly I was mamish lechtech achrei bamidbar. After Pesach, I was ready to follow God in the desert, be'eretz lo zru'ah, in a barren land. You'd ask me, what are you going to eat? And I'd say, who cares? But wait a second, I don't understand you. Yesterday you told me you were crazy about food. So this, look what he says, this lifsaf, this jumping over, is that the Ribono Shel Olam himself jumps into me. This is my ability to be godly, my ability to actually not be consumed with everything that tied me down, with the limitations I put on other people, with the limitations I put on myself, because of the kedusha of Seder night, Sfirat HaOmer, every single night, I look at another midah, another angle of my neshama. I look at another corner of my soul, and I'll be like, okay, now I could look at you clearly, because there was some chametz there and I got rid of it. And whatever wasn't left, God went like this, Seder night, now there's for sure nothing left on it, right? So now I have the ability to look at who I really am without being scared as to, what am I going to find when I start digging deep? Like most people who are petrified of that question. Therefore, they don't even begin it.
I think sometimes we're more scared of looking at our pure selves than at our tainted selves.
Right, Deshbitzer says the world's not afraid of darkness, they're afraid of light. They're afraid of shining. It's very good. Okay, so the Ribono Shel Olam jumped over what I really did, like tachlis on action level, and jumps right into the depths of my heart. And in the depths of my heart, like you just said, Jackie, I want to do so much good. Like that's really who it is. And by the way, if you don't believe that, if you don't believe that that the real you, the emes dika you, the chametz-free you, wants to do so much good, you have no clue about nothing, and you definitely don't know anything about yourself, and you shouldn't have the chutzpah to start a family like that either. Because how many people have started families, bringing children into the world, with such a self-persecuted, disgusting internal vision of themselves? How could you bring a child into the world like that? And how you think children, and this is what we always get back to, do you think that children at a certain point don't pick up on that? That my parents, they don't really hate me, they hate themselves? Of course they do. And the cycle keeps on continuing. Seder night is utmost peace, mainly between parents and children. Eliyahu Navi comes, V'heishiv levav al banim elev banim alav asam. Eliyahu Navi comes and he brings shalom between parents and children, because it's like the one night that children look at their parents and be like, wow, you don't hate yourself, which means you really do love me. But that's in essence really what happens. And that's the highest shalom that we could have in this world. And we could go on and on about this subject, and it's not for now. But it's important to realize that as much as we think our children are picking up, they're always picking up 5 million times more than whatever you think. Always. Always, always, always. Okay, and this is what the Matzah was doing to us Seder night. Now look how he explains to us how we physically, Rabbi Shlomo used to call the matzah soap. Soap for the neshama, mamish. Soap for the neshama. Look what he says here. There are two ways of connecting to the Ribono Shel Olam, in our context, okay? Obviously there's a million, but for our context, there's two ways. Through a mitzvah, which is all year long, mitzvahs. And by the way, mitzvah, what does the word mitzvah come from? What word does it come from besides tzav, which means commandment? Tzavta. The Slonim speaks about this very often. Tzavta means I'm creating a bond. Together, there's togetherness. I saw a gewaldig word by Rav Gedalia Shor. You know Rav Gedalia Shor, the Or Gedalia? I saw it on the first day on Yantiv. He says when we crossed the Red Sea, we understood how beautiful it would be to start keeping mitzvahs. It got us so excited to Mount Sinai. Why? Because we said, Zekeli, this is my God. What was the next word? Ve'anvehu. The Gemara in Shabbos says, Anvehu comes from the words Ani vehu. My God is not him and this. It's that there's a tzavta, there's a togetherness. That was the revelation of Kriyas Yamsuf. Zekeli ve'anvehu. This is my God, but my God is someone that's doing stuff with me all the time. It's not that he's there and I'm here. Ve'anvehu. Ani vahu. So that's a mitzvah. Mitzvah comes from the word tzavta, which is all year long. And in second line, in the bottom paragraph. And through matzah, which is Seder night. That's the second way of connecting to God. Through mitzvah and through matzah. Mitzvah is with a vav. What's the difference between the two words, mitzvah and matzah? There's a vav in mitzvah. Mem tzadik vav hey. And in matzah, just mem tzadik hey, without the vav. Put on your Kabbalist caps for 20 seconds, it's not too crazy, the truth is. Vav, so again, mitzvah is with a vav, and matzah is without a vav. Vav is all about my bechira. I have to try. Okay, so what is he speaking about? Why does vav have to do with my free choice, my free will, my avoda? Because we know that vav is the letter of connection. When you want to say and something in Hebrew, when you want to say, like a famous song, Chilach tapuchim utmarim, with a vav. Take for yourself apples, vav, utmarim, and dates. The letter vav is always this and, ve'od davar, and another thing, right? That's what we always say. The letter vav is always and, meaning, and this is how I include something, I connect. Vav, Kabbalistically, and the way it looks, is the letter that brings down from Shamayim to the Aretz. So far, so good? Okay, that was nothing. Now we're going for the real deal. Yud, K, Vav, K. It's God's name in the way that we understand it. What's Yud and Hey? It's just the Ribono Shel Olam is shining in the Olamot Elyonim, in the real Emes, in the Olam HaEmet. Vav is the way that I bring that concept of Elokut down into this world, and that last Hey is the vessel for this world. Yud K. There's nothing to do with Yud K. You can't do anything just with Yud K alone. That's why, I've said this before, how do Rastas refer to Hashem?
Ja.
It's just Yud K, Ja. They have nothing to do in this world. Besides, play around with, listen to this, Gan.
Ja.
Because it's all, it's the wackiest thing. It's not Olam Hazeh, it's all Yud K. It's all just coming from, I have nothing to do. What does a Yid do? Vav. Torah, mitzvahs, halacha. I bring it down to this world. It's in this world for me. So basically, there's one night that as much as I think I could do, I'm just mamish hallucinating. Because it's not about there's no vav bringing it down. It's just God's light the way it is. Again, mitzvah brings down God's light. Matzah doesn't have the letter vav to bring down a light. It's just there. It's directly the way the Ribono Shel Olam wants me to have him without me trying to do anything. Which is our dream, right? Come on, that's not your dream? That I am exactly the way God wants me to be without me really having to do anything in the world? How divine is that, right? All year long, that's sheker. God didn't put me in the world to be like that. One night a year, that's real. That's Seder night when I'm eating matzah without a vav. It's a mitzvah but without a vav, right? So look what he says here. You know what matzah is? Fourth line, matzah is God's light exactly the way it is reaching my kishkas without me being in the middle, without me disturbing it. It's just boom. Chametz is also good, by the way. It's amazing. Like I heard from our dear friend in LA. She's one of my great inspirations, and I supposed to call her a dear friend of mine, Reb Mimi Fegelson. And she said a gewalt thing right before Pesach. She said, you know, what's so weird is that we're working so hard before Pesach to throw away all these things that all year long are fine. We're trying so hard to get rid of chametz, but the rest of the year, chametz is not evil. Chametz is not so wrong. What's so? I mean, I can't have Shabbos Sudas without chametz. Like, you understand? So it's like suddenly I have this. I'm going to get rid of something that's so evil. No. In the context of Pesach, it's evil. But in the world, my sister makes the most incredible holy challahs in the world. Okay, so look. Should have said my wife first, but my sister. No, I'll tell you why. Because my sister's no. My wife does make incredible out of this world challah. She actually does. But my sister has a whole thing. When she was younger, she was going to open up a thing called Michala. But she's not doing too bad for goodness cakes either, right, Daniel? And every other person on this block. Okay, so look what he says here. Chametz is also good. Second to bottom line, but chametz is energy from heaven, right? But hamotzi lechem mina aretz, which is then filtered through this world. Filtered through my choice, filtered through my head. Matzah is God's light mamish coming through this world. And the way matzah is coming down to this world is disregarding me. You know what I was thinking of? This is amazing. This year, I think I know why I got this Pesach jolt. Because it was the first year in the schus of my brother-in-law and a few others in the block. It was the first year that I ever baked matzah. And I think that I remember coming home from after and feeling it in my forehead, like because we were there together. Because I never did it before, and what's amazing is that as much as you have to always try to reenact to feel like what it must have been like during different stories in the Bible to connect to them stronger, the way to connect most to Pesach, mechila from the cleaners, is really by baking matzahs, because there is no time for your own filtering. How it should it be, how much, there's no time. You have a clock, it's 18 minutes, boom, 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 you can't stop. Guy gives you some dough, you keep on rolling, give it to him. We had to call for a taxi, the guy would come, put it on a stick, take it and put it into the oven. There's no time to think. Lechem, it's not how you bake, that's not how you bake bread. Lechem is already filtered, it's all your own shape, your form, how much you want it, what do you want to put on it. Matzah is something else. It's boom. It just touches. You do it exactly the way, without your own shaping, without your own mishigas. What it is, it is. You know what God will do when Mashiach is coming? Straight from God to the depths of me, disregarding my head, disregarding my actions. You know how deep this is? There is something so holy inside of me. I want you to know something, this is very deep, and now he's going to connect it to the way we started. Because the whole point of learning about what happened Seder night is that we can take upon ourselves the midah of ayin tov, of having a good eye. These words are so beautiful, I'm going to say right now. The eyes are so awesomely powerful. I can look at somebody and with my eyes I can make them beautiful, or God forbid, with my eyes I can destroy them. The eyes simply have a tremendous power. How did the beginning of exile take place? The destruction of the land came about because we didn't know how to look at the land. But who is he referring to? The Meraglim. Very good. I want you to know the destruction of every friendship, husband and wife, parents and children, it always starts with the eye. So in Pirkei Avos it says, one of the most important things to have in this world is an ayin tov. When people love each other, they can't stop looking at each other. You know why? I know what you look like. Do you think I can say everything with my mouth of what I really feel about you, if I love you? Maybe I can say 1/100000th. But with my eyes, I can say everything. This is amazing. That really, like, this is what he's saying here, like the way to really tell someone or express to someone, show someone that you mamish love them, what you're capable of conveying through the way you look at them is far more deeper, powerful, and possible than whatever words you could use to express what you're feeling. The ayin tov speaks louder than anything. We're used to famous songs growing up, like actions speak louder than words. Looking at someone is not an action. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It's not about that. Now listen to the deepest depths. Now we're tying the whole thing, and here it gets just magically beautiful. Magically beautiful. It should be such a schus right now. What we're about to learn should be really real in our lives. Now listen to the deepest depths. As long as I think of myself based on my actions, so I look at the world, and I look at their actions, and I say they're terrible, because that's the way that I look at myself. How did we refer to that before? What did we call it? Even before that? What's the character that we refer to as a person that looks at himself just based on his actions? But before that? No, after that, it's like when we started learning this piece, it's very important. V'lo yiten hamashchis lavo batechem malach hamavet. Malach hamavet. So Rabbi Shlomo says here again, as long as I think of myself based on my actions, meaning as long as my actions define the way I carry myself in this world and present myself to myself, I look at the world and I look at that's how I look at other people. And I say, oh, they're terrible. Why? Why? Chevra, it's 9:30 tonight. I want you to think for 1 second about how many malach hamaves thoughts you had today about yourself. Just today. But thank God that we're in Sfirat HaOmer, because tomorrow really does not have to be like today. It really doesn't. How many negative thoughts do we have about ourselves? Based on our actions. Or based on what we weren't able to complete on an action level. Pesach came, one night came and washed away, and we saw for one night, if it's possible, that God jumps over all those things. This is the avoda of acquiring an ayin tov. Acquiring an ayin tov of the way that I look at people with zero judgment can only be when I stop judging myself based on my actions. You have to be, usually, like, what's very dangerous, and what someone pointed out to me before, is that this type of learning will enable people to be cop-outs, right? Because we learned a real holy Jew, a real free Jew, doesn't define himself based on his actions. That's pre-1A. That's not even, it's kindergarten. Something happened to us Seder night, we know that we're not looking for cop-outs, we're not looking for shortcuts. We're ready for the utmost, ready for the Torah. So you can keep on, it's your choice how to take this teaching. You could either take it and say, oh, now I know that the holiest thing in the world is not to have malach hamavis in my life, angel of death in my life. Of course it's true. What does that mean to you? For some people it means, oh, so I don't have to do anything now because I could just define myself based on my ratzon. Obviously it's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the work of acquiring an ayin tov. Because aren't we sick of looking at people the way we look at them? And aren't we sick of the way that we know people look at us? Aren't we sick of it already? Aren't we so tired of it? Doesn't it? It makes us so tired. Doesn't it wear us out? It makes you so tired. And these 7 weeks is 7 weeks of getting koach, of getting strength. But after Seder night, third line, the second to bottom paragraph. But after Seder night, I start walking to Mount Sinai with different eyes. Bless you. I'm looking at everyone differently, not based on their actions. Imagine a world where people could relate to each other, to jump over the actions. A Pesach world. Jumping over the past. What a world. It's a from now on world. Like, not to be cute and say, oh, from now on. But that's really the way that I look at people. That's the way that I experience living in this world. And this, what Rabbi Shlomo did is that he explains this, maybe he's saying, like, you know why we learn Pirkei Avos during Pesach and Shavuos? Because in Pirkei Avos, these midos of the Avot, the midah of the Sanhedrin, understanding what Masorah is all about, which is the way that Pirkei Avos begins, with the way that Moshe got the Torah, that he passed it on, then he passed it on, then he passed it on. It's really possible now. Like, it really is. It really, really is. And obviously this is something to cry over for years and years and years. Because we want to stop this. We want to get out of this cycle. But usually we think, oh, come on. How could I really stop looking at people with Malach HaMav's eyes? Come on, I know the way I look at myself. Suddenly you want me at the age of, you fill in the blank, whatever age it is. Doesn't matter what it is. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And suddenly now I'm be able to change everything. So real cherus is like you said here, is when a person is not ready anymore to give up all their tomorrows for one stupid yesterday. That line says it all. Imamish says it all. It says it all. So in the schut of the tzaddikim in Pirkei Avot, that, you know, they felt they went through Pesach, which enabled them to take on whatever they needed to take on. We should be privileged in the schut of Parshat Tazria and Matzah and the negaim, that what we need to work on in life should show up a bit more clearer. But the way to be able to detect what it is I'm supposed to work on more is when I acquire an ayin tov, because my vision changes. The way I understand Hashem, the way I connect to God, the way I understand what He wants from me, completely changes. Now, obviously, all of this is not just for the way I am with the Ribono Shel Olam. This is like we have to get to Shavuos with utmost shalom bayis in our houses, utmost shalom bayis with our children, to let them really, really believe that Pesach night, what they saw and what they've experienced through us, that we really do love ourselves, which means that we really do love them, wasn't a one-time, once-a-year phenomenon. What we're doing for these 7 weeks in Sfirata Omer is that when we take our children by their hand, and really we take our spouses by their hand, by Matan Torah, and we say, you see, Pesach, it wasn't just a one-night thing. I'm taking what happened, that jumping, and I'm taking it with me as I'm receiving the Torah. And now when I learn Torah after receiving it on Shavuos, ain't no yesterday going to be a slave driver anymore. Not a chance. Not a chance in the world. So it should be a big schus for all of us, all of us, all of us. Mamash, mamash, the Pesach should last forever. And it should be for this refuah shlema for Chaim Leb ben Fega and the Lui Nishmas. His first name was Yair. Yair. We'll get his name next week. And Bezrat Hashem, we're going to continue strong. There's no traveling now. I'm totally here now for a while. So we're going to go strong here. And Sunday nights, we're going to be doing in Simchat Shlomo, and there's a lot of other shiurim which will be happening, so check the email, and if you're not on the email, make sure I get your email to put you on the list. Alright, shukayach everyone. Thank you very much for coming.